Our next speaker, Mr. Turki Yahmadi, Systems Architect, Pre-Sales Team at Cisco Technologies, speaking on today's topic, Cloud Transformation to Support a Cost-Efficient Digital Enablement. Over to you, Mr. Turki.
Excellent. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, ODB team, and thank you, the event management team, for this time today. And thank you for the audience being here after a quite very informative sessions from other speakers. It's a pleasure for me and for Cisco to be part of this event for the second time. I hope that the upcoming 20 minutes will be informative to you. I will be sharing some of the use cases that Cisco has implemented in the healthcare. So we'll go through the use cases, and we'll see how cloud implementation could be in here. Now, classically, number of use cases in healthcare always manage and control a local data center, which was an excellent setups, maybe we could say a few years back. But now with the current changes, and surely with the current pandemic, things are moving totally in a different direction. And there we could see the value of cloud service providers and how we could remove the existing use cases from the on-prem and to the cloud. So there's a multiple use cases for the same in healthcare. I will go through 4 of them because of the limitation of time. I will try to spend maybe around 4 to 5 minutes in every use case. We will start, as you see in here now, implementation of technology within a healthcare organizations is unlimited. And as I mentioned, with the current situations, there is a hunger on implementing new technologies to make the process of delivering the healthcare services more efficient, more secure, and faster. And also anywhere, wherever you can reach out to your patient, we will need to reach them with the best of our services we provide. So we will talk about extended care access, where we talk about patient access from outside to the services within the hospital, or also the vice versa, where the doctors or clinicians can reach out to their patients wherever they are. So in that section, I'll be talking about telehealth and the virtual visits for the customers. Also, there is another use case about remote patients. I will maybe touch base on that use case within the telehealth and virtual visit. The other, maybe another spectrum of the implementation of cloud service could be in the data-driven and care delivery, where we talk about clinical communication and collaboration. And this is another use case focused mainly on the collaboration services for the healthcare user and healthcare team members. Actually, there is a medical device integration, flexible, scalable data centers use cases as well. But I said I will just more focus on the communication between the hospital team members and the healthcare organization within the hospital itself, or extended services in the ecosystems of healthcare. The third use case will be about security and privacy and compliance. We always know that one of the targeted business in the market for hackers is healthcare. One of the statistics has mentioned that a healthcare record, single healthcare record costs $50. So hackers can do a lot of business by stealing healthcare records. And sometimes some people wondering why somebody will like to attack the hospital and get the healthcare record. Now, there is a huge business behind that, where now you can see the growth of the demand on healthcare business. And every investors, when they decided to invest in any single country, they would like to know what type of healthcare services they need to provide. And getting an insight of the current patients details, patients statistics records, what type of clinic I need to open, dental clinic, optical clinic, another type of clinic, they will need the details. How are they going to get that details? Nobody will expose their healthcare details to the public, but some people in the behind on the dark scenes working to steal that details. And there where security need to be implemented in the best manner. And there we will talk about healthcare cybersecurity use case. Surely now with the huge extent of usability of IoT in healthcare, also there's a big demand on new analytic surfaces, IoT platforms, device monitoring, asset monitoring, which also a big business while the cloud is there. To implement new technologies like IoT, you will need to invest a lot in your data centers to build your platform, and you build your data center, get your compute, get your memories ready to accept these new applications. But luckily, with the partnership with a service provider like ODB, where you can host your applications and take the worries of managing a whole data center, as Mr. Ali has mentioned now, with an excellent service available with ODB locally in here, you can have an excellent application as a service, infrastructure as a service, hosted in ODB, they're managing it for you. And another section where we talk about transforming the facilities, where we talk about smart hospital, location services, mobility experience, and getting maybe the details about every single asset management device or asset management solutions hosted on the cloud. Talking about communication using mobile application connected to an communication system within the hospital, talking about collaborating different branch of clinic around the country and hosted the service with the cloud provider to make it easy to maintain and operate and cut cost of the operation and the team required to support the solution. There's another two use cases in the business continuity where we talk about administrative collaboration and remote worker, field hospital, and mobile clinic. You can see I had highlighted in red 4 use cases in here. I will start with telehealth, which is there's a huge demand on that, and virtual visit. Then I will move to the communication solutions between the clinical teams and collaboration. The third one will be healthcare and cybersecurity. Then we'll talk in the last about smart hospitals. I hope you will enjoy those sessions, guys. Now, why we've been talking about technology and investing on technology in the hospitals a lot. The current situation could be the best maybe scenario that we were talking about, which is we are leaving now. We never thought that the demand on hospitality services will be as much as it is with the current pandemic. And on that, there is a huge systems running on the behind to make sure that the operation of the healthcare services run at the best. Now, statistically, there's almost 43% of the time I spent to troubleshoot issues. And you can imagine with the high demand on the medication services, these numbers can go much, much higher than these. And the cost behind that of the resources, skill set, getting people on the right time is very huge. And also on the other side, business cannot stop adopting a new technology. That means that the infrastructure, the communication systems will be more complicated and more also challenging. So medical devices are extending. Clinical and patient devices are also extending. There is a huge usability of mobile devices between the healthcare members, like clinician, patients, physicians. Some statistics saying there's almost 4 or 5 clinician and physician or a doctor depending on tablet and mobile devices day-to-day operation. And that also need to connect back to the infrastructure where you have your medical systems. Implementation of IoT within the hospital itself, maybe directly to the healthcare devices, or maybe in the building management and building control is implemented as well. And that also has increased the load of the IT operation. And now we start to think about, should we continue in the classical implementation of technologies within an on-premise data center, or we should maybe have a kind of a hybrid solution? Some of the application will be hosted locally, some other solution will be hosting on the cloud. And there where we're talking about today, how we're going to migrate some of those local built application or a new application, move them to the cloud and make sure that a smooth migration could happen, and also unstable secure connections could be built between the two infrastructure, the one in the hospital and the one hosted on the cloud, in this case with ODB. Right, so Cisco have looking at this deeply, and we've been working on the healthcare for quite some time now with our partnership with a number of hospitals around the world. I'll show you some statistics. There's hundreds and thousands of hospitals running with Cisco infrastructure or Cisco security or Cisco cloud services as well. So there are 4 main pillars, 5 main pillars where Cisco is implementing their healthcare solution. We talk about security, and we touch base about the data center the infrastructure, the endpoint security within the hospital. And then we talk about getting an intelligent software-defined networking solutions within the hospital, make it easy to maintain a local hospital or in multiple branches, or even getting that dashboard of management and control offload to a service provider like an ODB. The fourth section is the data center itself. Now, majority of hospitals working in what we call multi-cloud, where you have a small data center within the hospital and you have another data center running new applications or a replica of the application to keep the business continuity running at the best with a service provider. And also we touch base on the mobility. We know that a lot of details need to be known about the usability of technology within the hospital itself, connecting remote users, make sure that the service available in the hospital running the best, connecting users, connecting devices, and getting the best infrastructure to get the best visibility and control over the infrastructure. And the fifth and most hot topic is collaboration. Now, we always talk about communication, and I think there is no better place to talk about collaboration as much as in the hospital. The connectivity between hospital members, maybe within the doctor and his nurses, or the physicians with the other physicians, doctors and the pharmacy or another doctor, is need to be make sure it's done as the best. And there where Cisco Webex and Cisco Collaboration Suite could help to make sure you have stable, clear, secure voice, video communication between the hospital members or even with the patients themselves remotely at their home, with their mobiles, wherever they are. We'll move to the first use case. In the first use case, we'll talk about remote patient. Now we're seeing how much we needed to interact with our patients with the current pandemic. And I think majority of hospitals would like to follow up with their patients after any single visit, which is the must. We used to go frequently to see the doctor, but with the current situation, we will need to have that interaction happening virtually. So we need to improve the patient clinic operation efficiency and patient safety while reducing the personal productive equipment consumption. But this is one use case. So getting less people visiting the hospital, but keeping the best communication manner between the doctors and their patients. So in here, we can see that we need to make sure that we're having a remote access, a remote connectivity between doctors, nurse, care team, and technicians. And then we look at the ecosystem around it, where we're trying to reach out, making different technologies collaborate to make the best communication manner to communicate with our remote patients. That could be translated by a video communication, audio communication, two-way communication and chat. And also on the other side, make sure this communication is secure. This communication could be hosted locally or hosted on the cloud for a better interaction, for better availability. And also we need to make it seamlessly happening with a wired or a wireless network for two side of patient, for two side element between the hospital side and also the patient side. So a doctor getting an equipment like a video endpoint, and he can interact with his patient video using Cisco application like Cisco Webex or Cisco Teams application. He share files, he can interact, he can follow some of them, share pictures between him and the patient about his record day-to-day activity as well. That whole interaction and whole communication could be stored in a cloud service provider like ODB in this case, and you can always go back for a record perspective and look how the doctor has been taking as the patient, and also the patient have himself a record out of his last virtual visit to the hospital and has last discussion with the doctor. So how these architectures look like? In here, you can see that the main element from Cisco perspective for this as architecture is Cisco Webex, which is our main element for video and audio and instant messaging communication. How we implement that in any existing hospital, that regardless what type of infrastructure you have, we just need to make sure they have the right endpoint and you have the right communication bandwidth to have it. Although the bandwidth requirement is very minor, which has been achieved by any mobile device using 4G, 3G from one side and using any internet lease line in the other side. And in the middle, you have this cloud service provider where he hosts the service for you to make sure things are running in the best way. So Webex can be in a software base or can be also from one side for the doctor by one of the Cisco WebEx element like Cisco disk series, where the doctor have his screen with his built-in camera and can have smoothless communication with his patient on the other side. Now, as I mentioned here, is regardless what infrastructure you have, is a Cisco or non-Cisco, we still can implement WebEx with any hospital, and we can communicate with any patient using their mobile phones, Android, iPhones, or using their desktops or laptops. Truly, there's a list of partners and solution here. Like one of these scenarios, we talk about extended care, one of our partners in building the whole architecture to have the best integration with the hospital management solution. The second use case, it will be about clinical communication and collaboration. And we said communication, collaboration is a core thing in any healthcare solution or healthcare system, maybe within the hospital itself, hospital and pharmacies, hospital branches around the country. Strengthen the clinical capabilities to communicate and collaborate, everyone to care about their team, about all their times, and getting everybody connected at any time of point. There's a lot of advantages in getting that. There's a lot of values in here. Improve the clinic workflow and the staff productivity, improve the patient throughput, as well strengthen the quality of care, meet the security of HIPAA compliance, regularity, and needs. Just in the point of HIPAA here, all Cisco equipment, almost, I could say, more than 95% of the equipment from software perspective, hardware perspective, are meeting the requirement of HIPAA standards for healthcare needs. And here again is an overall architecture, how we could build that best communication system and collaboration solution between the members of the hospital or the ecosystems. Maybe it could be in the same hospital or remotely using the existing WAN links or internet connectivity, and using also the BSTN, and how we could integrate those communication all together, make it secure, stable all together. From one side, inside the hospital, we're proposing here Cisco routing family, Cisco wireless family, to have that clearance of communication, secure data and analytics between the elements within the hospital, and then we move ahead with implementing Cisco WebEx solution on the cloud, or Cisco Jabber, which is a fully on-prem solution that could be integrated or be recorded or be implemented with a service provider within the country. Again, a list of partnership we have in here. This partnership is more helping us how to integrate with the healthcare systems and other healthcare eco solutions. Healthcare cybersecurity, which is a very hot topic. There's a big cases around the world running here about the leakage of medical records from hospitals to the public with personal data. Nobody would like to expose those data to the public. And here we introduced a full umbrella of security solution touching the hospital security from infrastructure perspective, touching the mobile devices of usage by the doctors or the nurses, and also the IoT equipment, how we make sure that everything is secure, controlled in the best manner, and monitored. You can see here, as I said, technology is implemented in every corner of the hospital, within the hospital, remote clinic, remote patients, remote doctors as well. And there we will look to protect identity and access to the management, IoT and medical device security, cybersecurity of over healthcare. And the umbrella we're proposing here, or the solution we're proposing here, touch part, as I said, from the endpoint perspective back into the systems, is not something that a point of time, but that is do a full monitoring of the activity to not miss any single threat or abnormal behavior within the healthcare system altogether. And in there also a list of solutions. You can see the list of Cisco solution security is very wide, touching every element from hardware and software perspective, and that also move in a journey between before any attacks happen, during the attack, and after the attack. Now we know if there's any single attack happen or passed through those systems, probably nothing will show, but there is no single system can secure 100%. We assuming if there's any attack happen, we can record every single activity of that attack, and also then we can combine full report details about what happened. We know after any single threat in a critical system like a healthcare system, you will need to build your case. Building your case need an evidence and details. The system is not just protecting you, but also building a full documented through documenting story about what happened, when happened, what is the resources, who's impacted, and when it gets impacted, what might be the reason, and how we could also avoid the same attack to happen again. Surely there's a long list of implementation talking about Cisco malware protection solution from next generation firewall, moving ahead to the infrastructure data center security, moving down to the data center analytics and workload processing, which could be stored within the data center in the hospital or stored in the cloud service provider like ODB in this case. Then also following up every single device connecting using tetheration in the data center and integrate that behaviors between endpoint and application, or securing every single device like mobile phone, tablet, or a PC using AMP for endpoint. On top of that, we having our cloud lock and dual factor authentication solutions to make sure that the remote users and the remote devices of the users are also not causing us a hardens or any kind of threat to the healthcare system. Now, the fourth and the last use case here, we're talking about smart hospital, building a connected network, physical healthcare facilities to enable more centralized control and secure experience. Now, getting it easy to manage, getting easy to control, getting the visibility is one thing about smart hospital, but with the upcoming new manner of cost and operation cost, like for example, water billing, electricity billing, people movement, physical management of the whole building is going to increase. And everybody's thinking how to could optimize the operation cost of the clinic or the hospital. And here we touch up on how those solutions could be here. Now, capabilities of smart hospital is like a real-time visibility using an IoT sensors, or talking about cloud managed secure IoT connectivity, which is a very valid use case now with the set of services that Hassan Abdali has mentioned ODB can offer to you, secure IoT devices and connected consistent management, and on-demand compliance and reporting. So 4 flavor of a different advantages that a smart hospital can offer, and how we could achieve that. I will just give you here some of those values as well. Enhanced facility management, lower cost of ongoing operation, improve patient experience, and a greater control and automation of the systems. So 4 points has maybe summarized why we need to move to a smart hospital story. How Cisco deal with that? Now, in here, we touch up every single layer of architecture that is within the hospital itself, implementing Cisco new family of access point for the wireless services, new Cisco switches family, the Catalyst 9000, and moving ahead with the integrated SD-WAN communication to have a proper connected to the remote site or even to the cloud service provider using a list of proven technologies in the market that has shown the value to any smart building solution, could be a hospital in this case. We have Splunk is our solution partner in here to do an overall orchestration of the building, including also a list of other IoT and management like Honeywell. We're working with Honeywell. We're working also with Clarity for sensors and device management. Maybe this is my last slide in here. I'm almost hopefully not miss the time. Why you need to work with Cisco? Few numbers in here. More than 13,000 hospitals and clinics running Cisco solutions around the world. There are almost 3,400 plus life science manufacturers implementing Cisco solutions. We are available in 118 countries around the world. Cisco team available everywhere, almost in the world, with all different languages, touching base in any kind of technologies in the market where we can help and support. I hope the session was informative to you, and thank you for your time.
Okay, Mr. Turki, thank you very much for your presentation. And if you have any questions, we will send it over to you for you to reply to them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.